Event number 1 for the individuals is underway. There are 2 heats, so this is heat number 1. There are 20 men on the floor. Now you watch them exit in this circular fashion because they have to start where they'll finish at the barbell for their clean and jerks. In lane 20, we've got Will Carter. Lane 19, Matthias Porter. Lane 18, Brandon True. Lane 17, Zach Levy. Lane 16, Jake Berman. Lane 15, Austin Spencer. Lane 14, Taylor Self. Lane 13, Garrett Clark. Lane 12, Evan Rogers. Lane 11, Alex Vignier. Lane 10, Marquand Jones. Lane 9, Nate Ackerman. Lane 8, Ben Smith. Lane 7, Marcello Clarizio. Lane 6, Jorge Fernandez. Lane 5, Stefan Cossette. Lane 4, Joseph Perriot. Lane 3, Simon Gelinas. Lane 2, Robert Yates, and lane 1, Brad Wilson. There's a lot of athletes out there, Tasia. Are there any that you are excited to watch specifically in this heat?
In this heat, I'm excited to see what Ben Smith's going to do.
Me too. It's a legend, a former CrossFit Games champion in 2015. I mean, this guy's got a resume longer than I have time to even recite before they enter back in, but exciting to see him on the individual side again.
Yeah, I love seeing him back out there and competing with these, I would say, young guns. You know, he competed back, you said he won in 2015. He's no stranger to the space, coaching too, right, in the game space. It's amazing to see his fitness still be at this level.
Absolutely. I can't help but notice that you've got a really cool shirt on. It says a name of a young woman that I know a thing or two about. Her name is Haley Adams.
Yes.
You guys are very close friends, great relationship between the two of you. You both spent time down at Mayhem together. And I know your relationship goes much further than that. What was it like watching her take the floor for this first event?
Man, it was really emotional, honestly, to see her out there again, just have a big smile on her face, excited to be there. It's hard taking a year off, you know, and really focusing on yourself. And yeah, it was amazing. She did incredible. I had no doubts.
Yeah, no doubts at all, especially for a workout like this. Anything with like a power clean and a power jerk involved, and then you added running to it, and I was like, I mean, I think I saw this workout and I just wrote down Haley Adams, right? Like just all over it. It was her all over. And of course she followed Tia very closely behind. The GOAT's gonna do what the GOAT does. But it was amazing to watch her come out with confidence, enjoy the crowd, and it was very obvious that people were so excited to see her on the competition floor again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Haley has put in the work, and I think too, to hold her composure coming back after a year off says a lot. You know, sometimes, at least in my experience, you might not relate, maybe you do. When you know a workout's good for you, you're almost more nervous because you feel
much more pressure.
You feel the
Let's
pressure.
just be honest. Yeah. It's much more honest. Like some of these guys are feeling the pressure right now, and these are the early leaders. Alex Vignier is coming in, going to be set at his bar, closely followed by Taylor Self and several others. I mean, it's a pack of 5 men, all probably Garrett Clark there closely to finish or closely to follow. These guys are a bit of them all to the far side. Lane 6 is going to be hands on the bar first, and that is going to be Jorge Fernandez. I'm sorry, it's not lane 6. That was lane 7. Jorge Fernandez just getting to his bar. That's Marcello Clarizio. Ben Smith working away at his clean and jerks. Austin Spencer at his barbell. Now, when you look at a workout like this, Tasia, and we see all the men executing singles, what are some focuses that you put into practice with a barbell that's highly cyclical like this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, being quick back to the ground to grab the bar off the floor, you know, making sure you're setting your back and getting under the jerk to save your legs as much as you can, because you're really going to be burning them out in that run.
Out the door, Alex Vignier to lead, Evan Rogers close to follow, Taylor Self not letting him skip a beat, Garrett Clark right on the heels of Taylor Self, and now we got Nate Ackerman, we've got, it looked like Marcello following very closely, Marquand Jones out the gate, Jorge Fernandez the following, and it's Ben Smith on the heels of Jorge. We've got a little friendly nudging here going on, a little banter it looked like between some of the guys here that are close to the exit pack. It looked like Will Carter pushing on somebody. I wasn't sure exactly who, but it gave him a little nudge, the elbow, just a friendly gesture, like, hey, get up out my space, bro.
Okay.
Get up out my space. So you were talking about your relationship with Haley and her return to the space. It's an amazing thing. But you as an athlete and as a coach, you have had a lot of experiences. You even shared with me that you had some experiences with food, and the relationship with food has been something that has evolved throughout your life. You clearly feel very strongly about that, so strongly that you've created a company that assists women and their relationship with food. Explain to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I created a business, Wonderfully Made. It's a program that helps women heal their relationship with food and their bodies. And, you know, exercise and how we desire health encompasses our physical health, our mental health, and our emotional health. So it's really taking that full picture of, yes, we want to move our bodies and be healthy, but we also want to have health up here in our mind. And so having a good relationship with food and with our body is so key to that.
Yeah, I you know, anytime we're talking nutrition, I'm inspired. And I say that because my family history with nutrition and the things that I watch from a chronic disease perspective impact my family and older generations was something I was quite oblivious to before I found CrossFit. And I say that because CrossFit's methodology, nutrition is the foundation of our pyramid, right? So because of this, we see how it affects each and every aspect: metabolic conditioning, weightlifting, gymnastics. But you mentioned the mind specifically. How are you helping young women navigate, or older women, or anyone navigate their relationship with food from a psychological or emotional perspective?
Yeah, for sure. So it's looking at not having these strict or rigid mindsets or rules, which can come with disordered eating. And a lot of times when we can become more intuitive and be able to listen to our body, listen to our hunger and fullness cues, we'll desire things that make our body feel good. But for me, in my experience, I was so rigid and so focused that it made just disordered things happen and then affected my body as well, which, you know, I love talking about body image because CrossFit really did help me on my journey to have better body image of just looking at not what does my body look like, but what is my body doing, and being able to respect your body and appreciate your body for all that it can do.
I love it. I love it. And speaking of bodies and being capable of things, there's a lot of these guys out here that are lifting weights. And they do a lot of lifting in the off season, and they always take into social media, Tasia. They love to show it. This is Austin Hatfield loading it up, as he says, showing us a 300-pound snatch. Now, he's not going to get to showcase that, but we also got Dallin Pepper out there, and it looks like he doesn't have a photo, but he had some cool caption there, and I'm only assuming that the video or photo was going to be there to show us. But the athletes are back in. It looks like it's going to be Evan Rogers, I think, leading the way of this group. Alex Vigneault closely behind, going to be hands on the bar in lane 11, and then it's Taylor Self, my favorite kind of crazy, putting his hands on the bar. Taylor Self with the mean, large Fu Manchu looking mustache almost, and then Garrett Clark right to his right. Now, in case you aren't familiar, Taylor Self is an athlete who has a very high propensity for suffering and doing so very consistently. There's in fact a challenge that exists out there. It's called Kill Taylor. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
This man takes to the YouTubes every week.
Okay.
He offers other people money to do a workout that he does first. And then if they beat him, they get the reward.
So is he programming these to his strengths, or? That's
a great question. I don't know that. Now, all I know is I don't think that he's lost many of them, if any, at this point. In fact, he did one yesterday before he's doing these clean and jerk. Taylor Self out the door from lane 14. Garrett Clark on his heels. Alex Vigneault, Evan Rogers, all out the door as well. Nate Ackerman on his way out the door to follow closely behind. So, yeah, he did one yesterday. It was like bar-facing burpees and double unders. 100 bar-facing burpees, I think, for time, but every minute you had to do like 30 heavy dubs or something like that. Yeah, he did that yesterday.
I love the confidence. I love the openness of sharing like your workouts.
Ben Smith out the door. Marquand Jones right on his heels. But yeah, a little much, it seems right?
Yeah, that'd be a little bit much for me.
And that's why I said he's kind of my favorite kind of crazy. These athletes that have this mind-bending ability to be in a place that we would categorize as a very sucky place to be.
Yeah.
And you know this, it's inherent in our methodology and even in our day in and day out training regimes for the everyday athlete. You've got to have this desire to do hard things.
Yeah.
CrossFit can be that. How did you find yourself back to the wall on a daily basis in a place like Mayhem and other places that you've trained and doing it on a consistent basis?
You know, at Mayhem, it was really easy.
Okay.
We were all very competitive, and I think showing up to every workout, even if you're like, hey, I'm going to, take this one a little bit slower. Once you get into it, you want to win. And so you're going to push yourself and push each other. And I felt like in that environment, it became you know, it's not easy to go to the dark place, but when you're around everyone else doing it, it's easy in some ways.
It's so true, and I think you're even highlighting the importance of community, right? Because it's like, hey, you on one side of the scope, you were committed to personal goals. You wanted to go to the CrossFit Games in which you were successful. You wanted to go on a team in which you were successful. The team a little different than individual, but these athletes are all going individual, but most of them have a team.
Right.
Right? This has been something that has kind of evolved in our space because typically you could kind of be the recluse, just training all day in the gym by yourself, but we're starting to see that that's not healthy.
Yeah.
It's not okay to just be in the gym training all the time with no balance in life.
For sure.
Why do you think that balance in life is becoming so much more evident to us as a movement in sport?
I think it just really brings the joy to it. I mean, you have being around people, being connected with people with the same, you know, values and things, wanting to push you, see you do well. It's so important to be surrounded by people who want to lift you up. So I think it makes a difference for sure.
Yeah, and I think we even see that with longevity in the space too. It's like the athletes who really stand the test of time, not just from a durability perspective, but from the side of joy. And we really get to see maturity in their fitness. They're the ones that stay the course the longest, typically. Yep. And those ones do have great balance, right? And even if they are professional exercisers at this point, because we were fortunate enough to, in this space now, have a select few that call themselves professionals in our sport, and they still find ways to tie in friends, tie in family, have focuses outside of the four walls of their affiliate. And all those things really add up.
Yeah, I agree. And I know from my experience being, you know, at Mayhem, at the barn, having people around to, like, just cheer you on, that makes a huge difference. And to laugh, like, even make fun of each other. I mean, that was a huge piece of it, too.
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. You gotta have fun. You got to have the swagger. You got to have the music. Whatever creates, quote-unquote, the vibes for you. The men are creating a great vibe, as well as the crowd here, as they enter the stadium for their third round of clean and jerks. That means men and women, they have just done their third 800-meter run. So we are 1.5 miles into this slugfest of an event. They're going to put their hands on the bar. Evan Rogers in lane 12 to start the party here on the barbell. Still doing singles. Taylor Self, second hands on. Singles out the gate. Garrett Clark, Alex Vignier, all working. Alex listed as an unaffiliated athlete, but is a police officer in Canada.
Wow.
Father.
Wow.
Yeah, just doing his thing. Been around for years and been consistent. Been to CrossFit Games as an individual, looking to punch his ticket back.
It's really incredible to see some of these men and women have jobs on top of this job of competing.
And most of them do. Most of them do. If they're fortunate enough to have sponsorship support, it's not enough to be full-time, so they still they appreciate the support that they get so they can spend more time training, but they got to pay the bills, pay the mortgage, pay the insurance, all the adult things. As it looks like Evan is going to be out the door. Taylor second. Alex followed closely. To the bottom right of your screen, we've got also Marquand Jones chipping away at his singles. Now, Marquand was a football player at Clemson University, chipping away. He's been a renowned semifinals level athlete looking to punch his ticket to the CrossFit Games as an individual as well. Nate Ackerman, one of those athletes that would technically fall under the category, leaving the stadium right now as that collegiate age from 18 to 22 that's almost that in between. Former teen games athlete, hasn't been able to develop quite the capacity of some of these elite individual males to punch a ticket to the CrossFit Games. But we were just talking with the director of sport for the Pit Teen Throwdown, and now they have a category specifically for 18 to 22.
Wow.
There's an online qualifier for it.
Okay.
So the same weekend as the Pit Teen Throwdown, where they'll crown the fittest on earth in the teen categories, they compete side by side with those guys. 18 to 22, male, female. I think the top 60 from the online qualifier of each field get to go.
Wow.
So it's really unique and a very great opportunity, in my opinion, of we see all these developing athletes across the space, and that age demographic can sometimes get left in the dust.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, getting as many times, as many reps as you can competing is going to help you when you get onto a stage like this. So if you can get more competition under your belt, do it.
Now Marcello Clarizio still chipping away in lane 7 to the right of your screen. White top, red shorts. Now I gotta say, Tasia, he came out and he was one of the first men in and out on rounds 1 and 2. Now all of a sudden his pace is dramatically slowed.
Yeah, I think we've seen this a couple times with some athletes coming out a little bit too hot. I know that first workout nerves really is something you have to be able to slow down and control and stay in your lane on that first run. And we see that sometimes you get caught up and you can be affected later on.
We've got Brandon True to the left of your screen, still chipping away at his clean and jerks. Just slow and steady. And lane 5, straight but slightly to the right, we've got Stefan Cossette chipping away. He just literally took a kneeling position. Tasia, it's better known as the universal resting posture when you put your hands on your knees and bend over and rest, right? But when you get down to your knees and you're kind of kneeling, you know you're in the pain cave.
Yeah, if you're in a pain cave right now, you're in a little bit of trouble.
A little bit of trouble as we kind of explore. We're 15 minutes and 35 seconds into this workout. Athletes still working here. And the worst news to them is that the men out on the run are going to be entering the stadium very quickly again to begin round 4. Now, I was in discussion with Scott Panchik while the women were going, this is the round, right? Like, this is the round when those who have paced it properly have to make a choice. And the choice is, do I want to go to the CrossFit Games or not?
For sure. I think this is a very important round because once you get through 4, mentally, you know, I've got one more. You can finish that and get through it. But this 4 is where you can either push it or let that pain, that doubt fall back and make you slow down a little bit.
And it's very easy to submit to discomfort. Fear, fatigue makes cowards of us all, right? Popular quote that exists out there. So conditioning your body and conditioning your mind for moments like this is really important. As we watch some of these athletes re-enter the stadium, it's going to be Evan Rogers leading the way, Taylor Self just behind him. Taylor almost looking a little bit more aggressive here on the final stretch. Alex Vignier right there behind Taylor. And then it looks like Garrett Clark shortly following this lead pack here. Now these men all, ironically, are on the back half of this workout. So they've got to run the furthest because, of course, that's where they started. Now this is round 4. They're going to do 10 more clean and jerks. That will make them 40 deep. And there's a bit of gamesmanship that needs to come into play here, right? When you know that you've got still 800 meters ahead of you, you've got to think, do I increase the speed of the barbell? Will that cost me on the run? Because clearly there's a bit of an imbalance here with this test, right? Like you're spending the vast majority of your time out on the run, not at the barbell, but this contributes to how you run.
It does, for sure. And this is why you have to play to your strength and have your own game plan, because maybe someone going slower on the barbell means they'll be able to go faster on the run and vice versa. So you can't get wrapped up in what someone else is doing. You need to do what's going to make you go the best.
That's right. Taylor Self, first one out the door. This is important for Taylor because he's got to travel the furthest to his barbell. So that's a big thing. Evan, Alex Vignier, all right there on his heels. Garrett Clark still with 2 reps left. Definitely slowed down his barbell cycling in this round. You can tell by his body language, Tasia, that he's kind of like faltering around before he picks up the bar. A little less intentionality to get his hands back on. As I can completely understand, he's not in a rush.
Yeah, I would be right there too.
Marquand Jones with a hand up in the air. Nate Ackerman with a hand up, and the legend Ben Smith also with a hand in the air. Jorge Fernandez to the right of your screen in the red shorts, chipping away. Jorge Fernandez, a part of CrossFit Invictus last year, won the Affiliate Cup. Fittest team on earth, made the choice, made the move down to Mayhem, Cookeville, to spend his time with a great community, just like you did, Tasia. And now he's looking to punch his ticket as an individual.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to be if you're trying to qualify to the CrossFit Games, that's for sure.
We've got Will Carter now on the run. We've got Jake Berman starting his final run. Jorge now finally moving. Nate Ackerman finally moving. Lane 17, Zach Levy getting his hands back on the bar, executing singles. We've got 3 reps left in lane 3 for Simon Yelinas, and we've got men still entering the competition floor to their barbells to start their clean and jerks on round number 4. And they're not the last. There's going to be a couple other guys bringing up the backside of this heat. Now, Tasia, in your experience as an athlete, Is this event a jam for you, or is this some damage control?
This would be damage control for me. There's a little bit too much running out there.
This would probably be one of my favorite cups of tea of the weekend.
Okay, so you like the running.
I do. I'm good enough at running for it to be a pretty strong suit.
Yeah.
And good enough at a barbell for it not to slow down my running too much.
Okay.
You know? So I like this. The combination, I was talking with Scott, the combination of these two things are like two of my better finishes at the games. Murph in 2015 and then heavy DT.
Okay.
They're polarizing opposites, but like those were my two top 10 finishes. You
Which
know,
is
like,
pretty incredible to have that variation in strength.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
It turns out I always had pretty good measurable fitness, but then sometimes putting together all the skills that we got to execute, I'd always still be working on those. I got some long old arms, and you know, sometimes it's not always best for getting upside down and
good
all
for
those,
deadlifts though.
Oh my. The more of those, the better. The more of those, the better. Folks, we got athletes still joining us here to begin their round of 4. We talked about this a little bit, Tasia. These were a couple of the athletes where you were like, okay, body language-wise, these guys dug themselves a little deep in the first 2 rounds and made round 3 be quite tiresome and monotonous for them.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to recover if you dig yourself into a hole on this because there's not really any place to breathe or get any reprieve. So if you're in a hole, you might be in trouble.
All right, we talked about his ability to suffer. It is Taylor Self riding the red line all the way to his barbell. Now, folks, he's got a long way to come. He's got to come all the way to the bottom of your screen here in lane 15. So he's not there yet, but it looks like he's been able to create enough separation between himself and the fellow competitors, Evan Rogers, Alex Vigneault, on the heels of one another. Taylor's going to be right there in lane 14. I'm sorry, hands on bar, looking to make quick work. He's going to still do singles, but he's going to have a couple reps of a lead. Now, can one of these men pick up the bar and start doing touch and go? Taylor's 3 reps in. Alex Vigneault is going to make fast work of this bar. He's doing singles, though. Evan Rogers also singles. 5 reps to go for Taylor Self. Bottom left, 4 reps to go. No one's holding on to that bar, Tasia. It looks like a different race than what we're there for almost the women athletes.
Yeah, the women came in going touch and go, all on fire.
We talked about this a little bit, though. This could mean that these men actually nailed the pacing just right, though.
True.
Sometimes you come in, and if you can just rip off 10 touch and go like it's nothing, maybe you could have run faster.
True.
And the truth is that that's where you spend most of the workout. But it's Taylor Self leaning into the pain cave. 22-29 for him unofficially. He handles business and gets the job done. He said these guys weren't going to hang with me on Kill Taylor today. But also these guys know this, and you know this, Tasia, that there's 20 men chomping at the bit, looking at just that time alone and that time to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard when you're in heat 1 because you don't get to see what's happening in heat 2, so you got to just go for it. And then heat 2 has a slight advantage of knowing what that time to beat is.
Garrett Clark also doing singles. Everyone choosing to do singles here on the back half of this workout. Ben Smith chipping away. Marquand Jones, 4 reps to go, bottom right. Austin Spencer making work of his barbell. 5 reps to go with a hand in the air. Jake Berman making a slight work of these clean and jerks. Pretty substantial early arm bend for Jake. Getting that bar all the way into his hip. Makes it a little bit easier to jump that thing to his front rack position. Jorge chipping away, hand up in the air. Marquand is done. Ben Smith done. Berman done. Almost hits the floor before his barbell does. Just nudged out Austin Spencer too. That was big for Jake. Jorge Fernandez, 2 reps left. Nate Ackerman, still no hand in the air for Nate. Jorge done. 23-56. Ackerman, 1 rep left. I lied, 2 reps left. I've been way off. It's like from this perspective, I couldn't see his judge's hands. He had 3 reps left. I thought it was 1, but he is done. Lane number 3, only athlete coming in and doing touch and go reps. That's Simon Gielinis. And he finished touch and go style, smooth. Zachary Levy there finishing lane number 1. Also Brad Wilson across the finish line. Now this looks like Marcello Clarizio making his way to the barbell. White top, red shorts, still gonna be chipping away at these things. Let's see, did Marcello save it for touch and go reps? He did not. Singles out the gate. Now Tasia, talk to me a little bit. Does that tell you anything? Does, like, in your mind, should the workout have been heavier for the women? Should have been lighter for the men? Is this just what we see?
I think that the weight differential, that the women are going to move 125 a little bit easier than the men will move 185. But I do think that 10-pound jump to 135 might have really changed it up a lot. So I think it was a good weight distribution for sure. I think it was the right thing. But it was exciting to see women move that weight, touch and go at the end like that.
It was, it was. And you know, we're at a space in our sport where we have enough data. I mean, I certainly work with enough athletes to know. We watched lane number 4, Joseph Piero knocking out the touch and go reps though, like it's nothing. He heard us talking Tasia and he was like, I got a show for him. I'm here to make the people, oh, he got a no rep. He stepped out from under that bar just a hair too early. But Tasia, what I was getting at is that it seems as though these sub-maximal loads, right? Not anything close to 100 max necessarily for the field at large, that women tend to handle loads heavier and easier than the men comparatively.
For sure.
So we'll use, for example, this barbell weight at 185, 125. Relative to the field, 125 at 70% of 185 is lighter for the women.
Yeah.
Now, is it literal? No, but it's just an expression when it comes to fitness and their capacity. It's certainly obvious. 95-pound thruster for a female athlete is handled lighter and faster than a 135-pound thruster for a male athlete.
Yeah.
Does that call for us to change different programming or play off a different percentage? I don't know that that's the case, but it's simply what we can see. And so when we have this assumption, some of the women athletes have to make different considerations with like the last round or maybe the last 2 rounds than some of the male athletes and what they can expect from the field.
Absolutely.
We've got 1 rep remaining for lane number 2, and that will do it for Robert Yates. We still have more athletes entering the field of play. In lane number 18, it is Brandon True coming in with that oh-so-appropriate neon green crop top.
I like it. I've seen those crop tops out there these days for the men.
I mean, he got the crop top. He got the braid on top with the shaved head on the sides. I'm feeling the style. But I'll tell you, I'm very impressed. Lane 5, the barbell looking real light for Stefan Cossette here. Now he rattled off 6 touch and go reps. Now he's into singles. Could it have been enough? But it looks like now we've got touch and go going down back in lane 18 with Brandon True. And he does it. Across the finish line just in the nick of time. And he hit the floor before his barbell. 1 rep to go. And that'll do it. So it was Taylor Self that won heat number 1 of event 1 for the men. Tasia, it was a show.
Yeah, I thought that was a great show. I love seeing that group come in all together throughout the whole thing and finish strong.
And we are underway. Men event number 1, heat 2. This is where we will get to find out who wears the crown at the Syndicate Crown in the North America East semifinal. We are here for the kickoff show, and these men are about to start their first 800-meter run. In this heat, it is completely stacked. In lane 20, it is Will Morad, 19, Spencer Panchik, 18, Luke Parker, 17, Saxon Panchik, 16, Peter Mason, 15, Jack Farlow, 14, Jack Rosema, 13, Samuel Conway, 12, Jason Hopper, 11, Roman Khrennikov, 10, Jeffrey Adler, 9, Austin Hatfield, 8, Dallin Pepper, 7, Benoit Boulanger, 6, Travis Mayer, 5, Alexander Caron, 4, Tyler Christoffel, 3, Dre Strom, 2, Seth Stovall, and number 1, Cam Crockett. Tasia, this heat is completely stacked. You've been to the CrossFit Games once as an individual, 2 on a team. Talk to me about the jitters and nerves that have built up and in anticipation to this event.
For sure. The first event, I personally think, is always the most nerve-wracking. You're there, you want to exert the energy, and it's just so stressful but so exciting. So to see the veterans out there, they're probably not going to have a problem keeping their nerves in check. Some of these young guns, there's not many out in this heat, to be honest. They're all pretty experienced, so I think they'll be smart with their pacing and nail it.
That will be interesting because we do have a couple key focuses now. I always make these up. It's the Go Ruck steps to success with each event. And the first one hasn't really changed. I've watched athletes do this for 3 weeks now at this point, so hopefully I've tried to nail it. But the first one is pace, don't race. And the important part is, and you highlighted this, is that you got to run your own race. You can't be lulled out into someone else's running tempo when we know we're going to find ourselves spending so much time on that 800-meter track repeat that they're running on right now. And then the second is mechanics matter. And I specifically am referring to the clean and jerk. 185 pounds, which we talked about, isn't heavy for any of these individuals that are on the floor, but they're going to do 50 repetitions, Tasia. So they've got to be mindful of that both on their run and in their return to the barbell. How high are they willing for their heart rate to be? How much energy do they need to reserve? When do they need to make moves?
For sure. And it's a lot to process, so you got to have a plan in place and also be able to adjust on the fly. If something seems to go wrong, you got to be able to adjust and just get back into it.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I got to spend time with Chris Henshaw last week in California. He works very closely with Jeff Adler. He was talking about some of his training leading up into this point, to the fact that he feels so good at running. He's putting down a 19-minute 5K in like a zone 2 type effort. It's just astonishing what we see as we see these elite individuals, and look who it is. Roman Khrennikov leading the way into the stadium, but Jeff Adler right there step for step with him. Jeff will be the first one with hands on the barbell. Austin Hatfield, number 2 to the barbell. They're right beside Jeff Adler. Roman, number 3 to the barbell in lane 11, and Hopper in lane 12 with his hands on the barbell as well. Now, all men choosing to do singles here from a pacing perspective. We've seen this time and time again. In fact, we typically don't see touch and go towards maybe round 4 and into round 5 specifically. But Tasia, last heat, hardly anyone chose touch and go at all.
Sure, yeah, it seems like they executed pretty well to get to that last barbell and have not enough left to go touch and go, because we know that will make a difference.
Jeff Adler, hands off the bar. He started his run at 3:44. Immediately, I watched him chap his wristwatch. Roman out 3:49. Hatfield out 3:49. Hopper out at 3:53. Oh, this is gonna be a tight race to the finish. Now, one thing I'll mention, Sam Cornway out the door, 4 minutes even. And now we got Travis Mayer, Boulanger, Dallin Pepper, Panchik, Morad, Alexander Caron, all making their way out the gate. And then we've got another pack here, following closely behind. Luke Parker, we've got Crockett right behind him, Stovall, Tyler Christoffel, and then the fittest media man in the space, Dre Strom.
I'm a big Dre Strom fan. I'm excited to see him out there.
And you spent some time down at Mayhem. We've talked about this already, but Dre seems to be a very unique individual in this space. It's like either he chooses to be all in and all crazy with his training and fitness, and I'm just saying this from a distance of what I see, okay, and what I hear.
Yeah.
Clearly he's chosen to be all in this year.
He is all in, and he is crazy, absolutely. I experienced that with him on the team, but something that I learned about Dre is he can get really fit really fast, and I mean, it's going to show for sure.
And this brings up an interesting conversation then, even about peaking, right? Now we know CrossFit's designed to have an amazing ability to give us this general physical preparedness so we can be prepared for the known and unknown all the time. But as a sport, just like any other sport, these athletes are preparing for a particular series of days. In your history of being a competitor for yourself, how important was that for you, like hitting the sweet spot with volume and intensity going into a competition day?
Yeah, for sure. It matters a lot, being able to taper leading up to that competition day so that you're almost itching to get out onto the floor. You want to feel fresh, but not like you haven't touched anything. So at Mayhem, we always worked out. We did stuff leading up, but it was just not as intense or not as heavy volume, things like that.
Yeah, and I've always found that that's a very difficult place to navigate for people, because I work with a lot of people as individuals, and I'll tell you, there are some athletes who absolutely hate to taper. They're like, Coach, I need more. I'm so worried. I'm getting out of shape. And luckily enough, you get opportunities throughout the year to also deload and taper, even if they're not going to compete, to help prove to them the fruits of this, the practicality of, hey, well, let's just back off and let's see what you can do. And then they're like, yo, I PR'd, I didn't work out for like 2 days or 3 days straight, and I loved it. And it was like, yeah, but you were worried you were out of shape, remember?
Yeah.
Right? The same feeling you're going to have going into semifinals, and it's important to help them have that trust and ability, because now, you know, we've got professional coaches from all different types of camps and regions of the world, and they're putting these practicals into our sport of being able to guide athletes to optimum performance, not just this notion of general physical preparedness.
For sure.
Oh, look who it is leading the way. No surprise. Mr. Aerobic Capacity himself now could be a new coin term for Jeff Adler. He's created great self-awareness. His hands are on the bar now. 7:01, he began his clean and jerks. Roman Khrennikov following shortly behind. And Austin Hatfield in the top 3, hands on the bar before Roman Khrennikov here, and he's actually doing push press, Tasia. Not even push jerk. Ah, there's a push jerk.
I was going to be impressed.
Now Adler doing a great job, bottom right hand part of your screen, of actually shoving the barbell to the ground, letting it take one bounce to settle, but then him shoving it back down. This helps him stay urgent, and it helps him almost police his recovery, because you'll know this, it's really easy to settle into a let the bar bounce around pace so you can rest.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell that he's very skilled, a professional, that he's doing that, and he knows that he can maintain that and keep the bar where it needs to be.
7:41, Adler began his run. Roman has 1 more rep. It looks like Hatfield has 2. Roman done, 7:54. Now it looks like Adler has about a 13 to 14 second lead going into round 3. We're gonna see when he returns. Hatfield following closely behind Roman Khrennikov. Hopper with 1 rep left. 8:09 for Hopper as he hits his watch. Tasia, what are they doing with their watches?
It looks like they're pacing themselves on that run, seeing how they're staying at the same pace, if they're getting slower, if they're getting faster, which is smart. Having some data on your run and where you're at, it can only help.
Cornway out the door, also hitting his watch. Now this is a different level. Again, we talked about pacing and peaking and all these things, the difference in our space. These athletes are out on this run. And it is a race out there, but it's also understanding your own personal threshold. We talked about pace, don't race. Now there's a time to race.
Sure.
Right? I talked about this with Scott, and I'd be interested on your take. But while they're out there running, they're running through a bit of a tunnel. They're navigating in and out of this stadium. They know who is where on the barbell. And so there are points of reference on this run where they're like, okay, by this point, I've got to be this close. Otherwise, I know Tasia's going to run away with it. Or equally, for you, if you feel me creeping behind you on a run, you're like, okay, by this point, I got to make sure Adrian's 10 yards behind me. Otherwise, I know he's going to touch and go and pass me on the clean and jerks, right?
Yeah, for sure. And there's a point to run your own race, but be aware of what's happening around you to know if I need to come back in and I have it in me to speed up to pass you or stay ahead of you. Having those data points of where people are at is really helpful.
Now, you've competed both as an individual and on a team, but you were down there with Mayhem. Rich, notoriously, is one of the best and originals in our space at having that awareness, not just of himself, but of others, and being able to throttle back or accelerate when he chose to. What kind of lessons did you have when you were down there from him, learning that style of pacing versus maybe just being all internal?
Yeah, for sure. Rich, I mean, taught me so much from being on the team, and he is an expert in all of those things, so I'm very grateful. But I learned really about pacing and going out slower than what you think. If you've seen in Mayhem, a lot of times we would be behind in the beginning, and then we'd come, creep up, and pass. And me, I traditionally like to go out really hard and hold on. And so learning how to transition that was really helpful.
Yeah, I love that, because this is a lesson to everyday CrossFitters out there across the world, folks. Slow down a little, okay? If it's round 1 and you're moving like it's the last round, you should think ahead to the last round instead. Slow down a little, because here's what moves the needle. It's the power equation, right? We want to make a large load travel a long distance quickly. If it's for time, we want to have the shortest time. If it's for reps, we want to have the most reps. It doesn't matter who wins 5 minutes into a 10-minute workout. It doesn't matter who wins 3 rounds into a 6-round workout, right? A lot of folks need to understand that if they throttle back a little early, they will finish faster. And guess what? You can sometimes hurt less and go faster.
100%.
Sign me up for that twice.
Yeah, exactly.
And here it is at 10:55. Adler is passing the clock. So we'll notice when we got another athlete passing the clock to have a general idea of where they're at. We'll reference when he puts his hands on the bar too, Tasia. But right now, it is very clear that every time he steps out of this building, he's creating greater separation between he and the field. 11-12, hands on the bar for Mr. Adler. Now notice, he's got a solid pace. Every time he takes a rep, he's stepping back with his right foot. And this is a bit of a way for him to pace himself on the first few reps. And then we'll see if this changes at all. Nope, still the same cadence. Roman Khrennikov, hands on, 11:30. Now he's created just a touch more separation between himself and Austin Hatfield, who's coming in third. Hands on for Austin, bottom right at 11:38. Hopper on the heels of Hatfield. Tasia, as we've talked about before, this is where the rubber starts to meet the road in regards to your pacing. Saxon Panchik working on his reps, and also Will Morad. And I say the rubber meets the road in the fact of, like, you've got to make a conscious choice that it's time to suffer and it's time to go.
Absolutely.
Adler is completely out of the picture for me at 12:02. Sam Cornwhy just making his way to the bar. Roman Khrennikov beginning his run, and now at 12:18, the same distance out as I referred to Adler. So Adler looking like he's got about a 16 to 17 second buffer on Roman. Austin Hatfield getting ready to make his way out of the stadium. 12:35 out of the door for Austin Hatfield. Hopper popping his watch at about the 12:41 mark. Morad on his way. Dallin Pepper finishing his last clean and jerk simultaneously as Benoit Boulanger. Jack Farlow just beginning his clean and jerks. Now Jack Farlow in lane 15, bottom left, as we watch Travis Mayer pass below us and begin his run. Jack Farlow is one of the strongest men in our sport, yet also one of the youngest.
Wow.
And this is where we want to see growth for young Jack. He's had some great consistent gains in fitness throughout his years, but as a teen competitor, he was extremely strong. And then also we saw very early on last year and even the year prior that he could lift weights competing with some of the strongest in our sport. Now this is where we got to see growth for him in order specifically to be a top contender year in, year out to the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, for sure.
Luke Parker rolling around the corner here to begin his fourth round of the 800-meter run. Now Luke comes into this with a background not just on reality TV, Tasia, but also in like triathlon and like more endurance-based sports. But he's also freakishly strong. He
is, yeah. This is a good workout for Luke. I saw it and thought he would do really well. So he seems to be holding a good pace. I'm curious if he'll be able to kick it in and make some moves.
And here goes Mr. Dre Strom heading out with a camera following closely behind him, which reverses the roles that he's probably not always so used to or comfortable with.
That's true.
Does Dre do pretty good in front of the camera?
Yeah, Dre's just silly all the time.
Which brings the entertainment value. That's what you want. That's what you need.
He definitely brought the entertainment value to our team in 2019. It was a constant battle of just, you know, making fun of each other, competing with each other, and it made it a really good time.
When you think about what you prefer, looking back even through your years, did you prefer individual or did you prefer team?
I preferred team.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the camaraderie and going out into the floor. For me, I felt like I hit different thresholds on team too, because you might be able to relate to this. Just you're going to go to the darkest place possible for somebody on your team and just totally die out on the floor. And so I really experienced that.
That's right, and for folks that are watching and we're like, yeah, I mean, I train in my affiliate with my community, so that pushes me. There's no doubt that pushes you. But there's a difference in competing against someone and letting that bring out a greater demand from you, and when you're competing for someone.
Totally.
So I completely relate to you. I've got my most fond memories competing on a team because of the memories that we built throughout the years, no doubt about it. And look who it is. Jeff Adler, the fittest man on earth in 2023, who is looking to make another statement this year and run it back one more time. He is going to have his hands on the bar at 15:31, folks, leading the way. He's going to have several reps on Roman Khrennikov, and here's now we're getting into gamesmanship. This is Jeff's third rep here, okay? Roman probably has an idea, but Roman also knows he got 10 clean and jerks in his back pocket when he needs to go touch and go on the last round.
For sure.
But you know who also knows that is Mr. Adler.
Yes.
Right? So the whole intentionality with this pace, with him riding his threshold, the way he is right now is to set himself up for a safe finish.
Yes.
In the final round. The last thing that you want to do when you're thinking about completely winning a competition is go into like an all-out sprint battle to finish.
Yeah, no. And I think Jeffrey Adler's doing a great job keeping his pace very consistent to what it was before. So
finished his clean and jerks at 16:15. 16:15. Roman still has 3 reps, now 2 reps to go. Hatfield still being very impressive on the run and back to his clean and jerk bar in 3rd place each and every round, but Hopper trying to chip away at his lead. Roman Khrennikov done at 16:33. It looks like there's still about an 18-second buffer between he and Jeff Adler now. Hatfield with it looks to be about 3 reps to go. Hopper with a hand up though. So this is the race to really watch here. Will Hopper allow Hatfield to create separation, or will he be able to pick up that bar? Hatfield's starting to take a little bit longer rest between his reps now. Hopper's not relenting. Hopper's doing a great job at not dancing around his bar. His feet are staying static. Bottom of your screen. Hopper with 1 rep left. He and Hatfield are going out together. Oh, here we go. Jack Rosema chipping away at his bar. Will Morad right on the heels of these men that had just exited the run.
Yeah.
And he's got a shorter distance to his barbell, Tasia, so that is something to be mindful of.
Yeah.
He's going to be right here to the top left of the screen and get to stop with his clean and jerks, versus the rest of these guys are all coming around in this back half. So he might be pacing this thing just right to lull them to sleep almost.
Very true.
Travis Mayer chipping away to the upper right portion of your screen with a hand up. That's his final rep on the clean and jerk. Travis Mayer, several times multi-games athlete, high levels of fitness, and the most children, bar none. 4 kids deep, Mr. Mayer, and a gym owner, representing for all the dads out there. He's not alone in the dad category, no doubt, but 4 kids, I think that's pretty set apart.
That is pretty impressive.
Dre Strom, dead center. Fittest media man in the space. With, I believe, the Breathe Right nose strip across his nose.
Does he got that on?
It does. He does.
Do you think that's going to give a real benefit?
Well, he might even agree that probably not at all. But maybe he's just doing it for people like you that know he's being. Jack Farlow still chipping away bottom left of your screen. Lane 19, Spencer Panchik just wrapping up his clean and jerks. Luke Parker on his way out. Seth Stovall finishing up his round of clean and jerks. Dre Strom, 2 reps to go. Jack Farlow, still no hand up yet for him on this round of clean and jerks. You know, Tasia, there's an interesting philosophy here with like having tools in your tool belt. All right, our sport highly demands that you execute at a high level for Olympic weightlifting, right?
Yeah.
But if a traditional Olympic weightlifting coach teaches us, there's only really one speed, and that's always the fastest speed. From an empty barbell to the heaviest barbell, they want all your reps and sets to kind of be the same, look the same, feel the same. In our space, it's a little different. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a little bit of variation when you're under fatigue like that.
And here he comes. 19:30 on the clock as he enters the stadium. Mr. Adler is by himself at the moment. He rounds perfectly just to be able to see where Roman is. Jeff actually has a moment to gather himself at the barbell, and here he goes. Will he choose singles or will he do touch and go? It's singles for Jeff. He's got the long game in mind. If he doesn't need to do it, he's not going to do it, and that is a true professional move right there.
Smart.
Yeah, he's 3 reps in with the lead on Roman, and now he probably understands if he has to, he can. But he's now 5 reps ahead. And even at this clip with touch and go reps, it'll be hard for Roman to make up that distance.
100%.
Roman's doing it though. Touch and go for Roman Khrennikov. The crowd is going nuts. What will it be? Only 1 rep to go for Adler. Under 5 reps for Roman Khrennikov, but it is Mr. Adler at 20:28 that put on an absolute clinic with the running each and every round to take the first place in event number 1. Roman Khrennikov right on his heels, 20:39. What a finish by Roman with the touch and go.
That was impressive.
He legitimately makes it look like it's 185-pound jumping jacks, Tasia.
Literally.
And here's what's unique about the amount of fitness these guys got. Roman just ran 2.5 miles and did 50 clean and jerks, and he just slapped Jeffrey Adler a high five like, great job.
Yeah.
Hopper made some moves, and now he's here, but Austin Hatfield is here to make a statement. He's going touch and go. Dallin Pepper choosing singles. Benoit Boulanger reps in, he's doing singles. Hatfield is now at singles, he's under 5 repetitions. Hopper touch and go, 3 reps left, he's hanging on, he wants to take this, 2 reps left. 1 rep for Austin Hatfield, Hopper's gotta go. Time, Austin Hatfield got him, 21:37. For almost both of these athletes, it's gonna be a finish that's too close for me to call. Dallin Pepper done, 21:46. Benoit Boulanger, hand in the air. Travis Mayer with a hand in the air. That's it for Boulanger, he is done. Training partners with Jeff Adler. Boulanger, it's okay to die, but you gotta die inside the red line, my friend. Travis Mayer finishing up his reps. He's got 1 rep to go. Tyler Christoffel also with 1 rep. That'll do it for Travis, though. Boy, Tyler almost closed the gap right there on him. Sam Cornway chipping away. Jack Rosema somehow with only 3 reps left. He really cooked those last 2 rounds. Morad is across. Saxon Panchik is done. Luke Parker getting to work on his barbell. Just a few reps left for Luke. Looks like he's down to 4 reps. It's also 4 for Samuel Cornway. 3 reps now for Sam. Alexander Caron in lane 5 is done. But here comes Spencer Panchik, opened up with a couple touch and go reps. Luke Parker, 1 rep to go, and he will finish just behind Sam Cornway. Dre Strom entering the stadium, breathe right strip on his nose, hoping to pass his training partner, Seth Stovall. But lane number 1, Cam Crockett also going to work. It is rep for rep as we enter the finish. This is where you gotta dig deep. Get your hands on the bar before you're ready. Dre Strom gonna finish the final reps, touch and go. Cycling it like he should have been doing maybe a while ago. Look at that efficiency with the barbell. 1 rep for Mr. Strom, and he will do it. It looked like he and Stovall literally tied rep for rep. Wow, that was too close to call. Crockett, 1 rep left. Lane 16, Peter Mason still chipping away, and that'll do it for Peter. Tasia, what a stinking race that was.
There are quite a few battles there on that last round.
I mean, this is absolutely insane to see the ability to pace and the capacity that is expressed by these young men out on the competition floor. I'm still really impressed the way Jeff finished and the way Roman finished, and in the fact that, like, they weren't the ones laying on the ground.
Yeah, they just finished and said, okay, on to the next.
Isn't that an expression of also the levels that exist even in an elite field like this, where these men are able to do what they just did, take 1 and 2, and still have something left in reserve?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely incredible. We are seeing that. I think we'll see it expressed over the whole weekend.
Jack Farlow making light work of 185 on his final round. Touch and go reps. We know that strength is not a limitation for this young man. He rattled off 6 in a row. 4 reps to go for Jack. And now he's got to be mindful of, Tasia, is that he's not just competing against these guys. Sure, his placing set against this last heat, but there were other men still trying to finish just like he is now.
Absolutely. He needs to keep putting his pedal to the metal to get this done.
And that'll do it, 25-15 for Mr. Jack Farlow. And the rest of heat number 2, event 1. The storyline is this, it's simple. Jeff Adler is in really good shape.
Yeah, I agree.
The pacing that he has put into practice with Chris Henshaw, developing his aerobic capacity. He put on a clinic there with pacing, created enough separation between he and Roman Khrennikov so that he didn't even have to stress his body and do touch and go. Was that all a part of his intention, and will it save him energy for the rest of the weekend? We shall see. We got a lot left to do. This is it for the men today. Only one event for them. 2 tomorrow, 3 on Sunday. Tasia, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
It was an honor. And we will be back with you shortly for more team competition. See you in a bit.